So I have just finished CS50 and have gotten my CS50 certificate for it. Now I think my experience with CS50 has been very good. Now if you don't know what CS50 actually is, it's basically this computing science course that was put online for free by Harvard University, which is a university in America. The course covers all about programming, but it also teaches you more than that. It teaches you how computer systems work, how to allocate memory in C, but it also tells you stuff like how does binary work, how does hexadecimal work, how are images and other forms of data stored, such as just text alone. It talks about ASCII, and that will really help you throughout the course with the C programming. I wouldn't say so much the Python programming, that's a help, but if you are to go into like systems programming, which I have quite a fond passion of, then it will be very important to know that kind of stuff, and it's also the basis for further computing, like proper computers knowledge. For the difficulty of the course, I would say definitely some sections really require perseverance. I would say probably anyone can do it as long as they persevere. When I started the course, I already had quite a bit of knowledge in computing. I do computing at school, so I already knew some stuff. If you have no idea how computers work, I might recommend like CS50 Python first, or maybe learning a bit about computers first from some other course. But if you already know a bit about computers, I definitely recommend CS50 because it'll probably take you out of what I was in for a long time, which is called tutorial hell. It's basically where you can watch a tutorial, you feel like you understand what you're doing, but then once you finish the tutorial, you try to make your own application, you can't actually code. I mean, it sounds funny, but you know all the functions and how that works, but you just can't think logically and you can't solve problems. That's another great aspect of CS50, which I like. It forces you into like these problem sets from the first week, and those problem sets require you to develop the skill to solve problems, which will help you when you're building your own applications. Because when you're building your own applications, really all it is a bundle of many problems. If you want to create an emulator, which is what I created for my final project, then you'll have to think of like the simple problems like, okay, what data type should I use for storing a memory address? And it will also help you solve more complex problems. That is like, how do I display text onto the screen? How do I get a window open? How do I read from a file? How can I best check which opcode is in the binary and then assign a function to that so that the function could be executed and then do some sort of other stuff, such as moving a value to a register or moving the value from a register to another register. What you're seeing in the background is actually me coding my final project, which was an emulator. It was based off of the x86 architecture, but it definitely had its own quirks to it. It used its own instruction set as well, so you couldn't just run up Windows on it, and it's definitely not a complex enough project or emulator for it to do that. I figured CS50 wasn't wanting something as large as a Game Boy emulator, which I do want to build, but as I said, I don't think they're wanting something that big. So I just made a small emulator based off of x86, which I still think is pretty cool, considering it's the first emulator I've ever built. But yeah, it's definitely in my mind that I'm gonna build a Game Boy emulator, and then I'm gonna get a, oh, what's it called? Like a Pokemon ROM, download that and actually have it run on the emulator. Yeah, I'm right now looking into the documentation. Of course, not official documentation because there is no official documentation, but the basically theoretical and homebrew community of people who have pieced together this documentation, which is a lot of theoretical stuff, but also stuff that'll work. It will run a Pokemon game if you follow the documentation as it puts it. Yeah, I mean, also if you're going through CS50, you'll probably go to the edX website. They've got an option where you pay like £200 or something like that to get a certificate. You don't need to pay that. That is just like a kind of additional certificate. I don't exactly know why you would get that, but the point is you can get a certificate from Harvard University for free, which I have. I definitely recommend, as I said, go check out CS50. I'll put the link to it in the description because it's the best computer science course that I've ever gone through. Yeah, see ya.